was
John,
unbelievable.
I mean, and
You
John,
guys-
you've heard me say this a million times.
It was
If you get
embarrassing
5 minutes of top 5 Tatum, almost every game they played that's kind of like this, 5 minutes of top 5 Tatum and you win.
That's the phrase of the
They got
season.
none of that tonight.
thing is,
None of it.
He was walking around. He was walking up to set screens. He wasn't setting real ones. He wasn't coming off the ball strong. He wasn't going to the ball. If it got in his hands, he might try to do a little something, but he just looked checked out. Like,
and I
he
can
was
tell
like,
you this,
yeah,
that when, like, going from being at the games all the time to watching them on TV, you guys who are there are seeing it double what we're seeing on television because the cameras don't pick it up. Like, I'm always looking at the tail end of the camera after he gets a no call or whatever to see if he's going to come back or he's going to be listless and just dragging. You guys get to see it. So whatever anybody in the chat room is seeing on television, double it, because that's really, and the same thing goes for Marcus Smart. You don't see all the intangibly great things he does when you're not at the game. So you guys know.
It's that whole thing where, like, it worked for a little, learning. And, we talked about this the whole time when they were struggling, and, and then it seemed like they solved some of these issues, learning how to be like, just learning the right way to play instead of defaulting to some things that have worked for you as an individual basketball player, learning to lead, learning to win. Some of that stuff was working, but a lot of it was just driven by defense. The defense was so dominating that it kind of probably covered up for some of the issues that the offense has, which is when times get tough, they do revert to some of their kind of baser instincts. And for guys like Tatum, that really is just kind of slowing it down and going into his little rock the baby, little ISO situation. And it doesn't work when teams are spending this much time, and paying this much attention to you, sending two guys at the point of attack, forcing you to your left. I mean, Tatum half the time just dribbled into double teams. And sometimes, he'd look to make a pass and people were standing in the lane because they knew exactly where it would go. It's too deliberate. And that's it's what's worked before. But when everything breaks down, they revert to the things that are proven not, Tatum specifically, proven not to work. So he's just got to get it. You almost just have to reinvent yourself a little bit. You've had a thing that's worked for you your entire life, but in order, to be more successful and for your team to win and to be that playmaker that everybody wants him to be and the guy who has the ball in his hands and have the offense run through him, he's got to be a totally different guy. He really does. We only saw flashes of it. People, I think, really talked a lot about his playmaking improvements this year. I thought they were there, but I thought they were subtle, and I don't think they were consistent enough for people to say, oh, he totally figured it out as a playmaker.
Or make it a threat against a double.
Or make it something that people are worried about. They're not, like I said, why do Jokic and LeBron and players like that not get doubled as much? Because they'll pass out of it immediately to the most open guy on the court, and it's going to result in a bucket. They'll kill you if you double them. Tatum's got to be a guy who kills you when you double him.
Which he doesn't. No, he doesn't. No one's scared. No one's scared of his playmaking. And also this about the whole playmaking storyline. How many times was it used as a, well, yeah, he didn't score. He didn't shoot well tonight, but his playmaking was off the charts. He had 8 assists and like he was involved in the offense, even though he wasn't scoring. It's like, dude, I get it. But if I have a first team All-NBA player, I need him to drop 30 points a game in the playoffs, not 6 turnovers a game. He's the first player in NBA history to have over 100 turnovers in the playoffs. So round of applause for that.
Well,
I mean,
Jimmy, you really have all the stats tonight. I mean,
my brother sent me that stat.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
But I mean, listen, is anyone surprised to hear that though? I mean, every time you look up, it was either him or Brown or Smart or somebody turning the ball over. I mean, it was no different tonight.
My question specifically about Tatum is everyone keeps pointing to he's only 24, nobody's won games with teams under this set. And sure, but is maturity assured? Is improvement assured? Have you seen, I caught heat for saying this, but I believe Jayson Tatum has, obviously massive skills, but at 24, I actually think he's less mature than 24. As a fifth-year pro, I actually expect a little bit more from him in terms of being able to handle this stuff, the complaining and all of those things. I think he's not great at that, and it's a little frustrating for me. I don't know if you see it that way. I think he should be better.
I would hope that he would be better because
not just going to get better. I think he should be better now.
Right. of all the different things that Jimmy had kind of ran down about Tatum, to me, the disappearing in the fourth quarter is literally the only thing I care about, because all that other stuff I can deal with, the hands waving when he gets fouled and all that. But if you're getting it done in the fourth quarter, all that other stuff is immaterial. All that other stuff
Sure.
doesn't mean a damn thing if you're handling your business when the game is on the line. And that is where Tatum has come up short time and time again in the finals. And we've seen that, throughout really this postseason run. I mean, think about the Game 7 win over Milwaukee. That was not Tatum's game. That was Grant Williams. Grant freaking Williams
It was like a
was
long
the
time
guy
ago.
that said, yeah, but he needs to have those type of signature games, and he's had some good games in the fourth quarter, but he hasn't
His
had
game 6.
as many. Yeah, he hasn't
Against
had
the
as
Bucks.
many of those. Everybody on my back.
Right.
I'm gonna carry us to the finish line.
Right.
Just do a Cedric Maxwell thing and just hop on. I got you.
But
He doesn't have enough games like that.
You know what, Sherrod, though? And I agree with you completely on the fourth quarter issues, but it's not easy if you go 3 quarters of disengaged or, sulking or just off to just turn a switch in the fourth quarter. That I think if he changes his style or changes his mentality, whatever it is, the fourth quarter performance might come because of that. I don't think it's easy to just turn it on like that if you've been feeling a certain way for the first, 36 minutes or whatever it is. So I agree with you, but I think it's more than just, oh, he just needs to play better in the fourth quarter. There's steps involved to get to that point, and I just don't know if he's figured out what it's going to take for him to get to that point yet. Because again, we talk about how the Celtics kept losing games the same way in the series. I feel like we were seeing Tatum struggle in a lot of the same ways too. The two go hand in hand.
Yeah, I would agree. He has to figure this out, because really it's there's a number of things that are keeping him from being, I think, one of the all-time greats, and this is one of them. Just finding that inner killer.
Mhm.
He's a great
What happened
player,
to
great
he
skill.
went a few weeks where he was blowing kisses to the crowd. And we were like, there's swagger. There's that swagger for Tatum. There was a
I
stretch
can't
where I was
remember
like,
the last time. I can't remember the last time he did that.
where'd that go? Well, in his defense, there wasn't many of those moments, but there was a stretch towards the end of the regular season and at points where he was blowing kisses left and right. And I was saying, this Tatum's becoming a player that opposing teams' fans show up to the game to go see. He was in that type of
Yeah,
a zone. And
and
again,
I think he's still that type of player.
he
I
still
still
has
think
it in
people
him,
show up to see him.
1000%.
but
Right.
I
But
honestly,
where'd it go?
honestly, like, I think we're being nice right now.
We are.
We're being nice because nobody wants to hear this guy sucks, because that's
We're coming down.
reactionary.
We're just coming off the game here, and
So we're being nice. This was atrocious.
This was bad.
I
Yeah,
mean,
this was-
in a like, for some people, in a career defining sort of way. Like, this, unless they get back here and he has a completely different performance, this sticks. Okay.
totally.
And a finals meltdown, shrinking, looking like you didn't belong, looking like you weren't even the best play, the second or third best player on your team, absolutely running from the moment and just looking really, really small. That's not going anywhere. That's what people will remember. No one's remembering 46 against Milwaukee. I'm sorry. Nobody's remembering a bunch of 50-point games this season, even though they did happen. Right or not, that stuff follows people, Paul George, blah, 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 like, well, whatever it is. If you're not Chris Paul, guys who are getting dogged, their entire careers, despite a tremendous body of work, that's not going anywhere. This was horrible.
It was. He's gonna get. He's just me. I mean, people who want to find people who want to look for more Tatum hate. They just have to turn on the radio or turn on the TV over the next couple of days, couple of weeks. You'll find it because we Nick said it off the top of the show. I mean, non-existent, invisible, lackadaisical, whatever words you want to use for his performance, not just tonight, but really, pretty much the whole series. It's hard to defend it. It really, really is, and it has to make you question. I mean, the diehard fans who have watched Tatum, they know what he's capable of. The casual fans who are just tuning in, for the NBA Finals, are going to be like, "This is the guy they're hitching their wagon to.
Right.
This is Mr. First Team All-NBA."
But the diehard fans are the ones who've seen it, who will defend him and say he's still great. And honestly, if you've watched it all, those questions do have to come up. How can they not? Again, if you're a Celtics fan, you have to think, if this were another team, how would I feel? If you watch the Philadelphia 76ers playing in the finals and Joel Embiid scored 10 points or 9 points in a couple of back-to-back games, was turning it over, missing shots, missing free throws, wouldn't you be like, he's not the guy, man. They'll never get there. Or if someone else did it with someone else, that's the reaction you would have. So you have to look at your guy and say, why did that happen? You know?
Right.
And he's got to find a way to wash that stink off of him. Next year. Him probably more than anybody. I know he's gassed, but he's got to want to get back here right away and start putting up numbers and big performances and looking like a star again, because this is what's going to linger for people.
And it's not to say that we don't think he cares about winning or wants to play hard and all those things. Like
he just sucked.
Sure that he
sucked.
does.
He was really bad.
And I'm sure that he's gonna, take it harder than anyone else. And like I said, maybe it'll be an off season where it turns him into more of a killer, like Sherrod said. Sometimes you need to feel these types of losses to really, change your ways. So it's all going to be on how he learns from it, because we know what he's capable of skill wise. I think it's all upstairs. Maturity is maybe it.
He's gonna get. He's gonna. You're right, and it's gonna be an overreaction. And some people might think this is an overreaction. I think it's honest. I think you have to ask questions. You have to ask these questions after a performance like this. It was that bad. It was really that bad.
And you almost have to wonder if he's thinking about it out there. If he's very cognizant of the fact that he's not playing well, and that's just kind of snowballing and making it worse. Because I feel like some players they are in their own heads out there a little bit more than others. Like you got your cornerbacks who can forget the next play and go back out and go out there again, and you got players who kind of let it linger a little bit. And I wonder if he's dealing with a little bit of that.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out. I bet you there's going to be some things where you're going to hear in the next days, this was really bad. Marcus was playing through things that if it was a regular season, he probably would have missed 2 weeks. I guarantee on Marcus. Yeah. I bet you Marcus played through injuries that he should have missed multiple weeks with.
Yes.
So
that.
I'm definitely without
Sherrod
knowing.
Seems pretty confident about that.
No, John, finish your thought. Yeah.
No. I'm confident on that. I think that Stinger was an inconvenience, but not as big a hindrance. Now he's saying, there's a quote, Tatum said he doesn't think he'll need a procedure on his right shoulder. I don't know how bad he hurt it, if he strained things, ligaments, whatever. I'm not really sure there, but it really wasn't. That excuse would make sense if his shot was off. It wasn't his shot that was off. It was his entire game that was off. Okay. And so I'm not going to give a full pass there. If he was just, maybe some of those free throws came up short. Maybe some of those jumpers late in the fourth quarter, came up short as a result. We're not banging him here for shooting here. We're banging him for his, for his turnovers and for just the overall ineffectiveness of his game. And if he knew he wasn't scoring or he wasn't shooting as well, then he should have tried to become a facilitator first instead of doing what he was doing. I mean, his right shoulder didn't make his left hand miss 12 layups this series. I'm sorry. It just didn't happen that way. So it's just not enough of a reason for the performance, but I'm sure not being 100% sucks. And that's, and I get that from him. But Marcus, we know. Rob, we know. Could it have been a different story if they were fully healthy? Yeah, maybe. We'll hear some stuff there, but I don't know. Tatum's gonna get all the ink here right now. I think Tatum in the bench. That's where it's gonna fall right now.
Jaylen Brown skates free. Look at that.
Well, he has to.
Good. He was good tonight.
He has to.
No, he was great.
He was good.
Yeah, I mean, he was their best player in the finals.
Clearly,
by far.
Clearly.
And really, he may. Well, all being said, all said and done, he might have been their best overall player all playoffs. I mean, when you consider how it went for Tatum here.
It's going to be funny when the people who told Tatum to stop shooting mid-range jumpers go to him in this offseason and be like, so we were thinking, the boys in marketing got together and we, we decided mid-range is kind of coming back in a big way. So
Yeah, so
why
we
don't you work
found
on
this
that?
new stat.
Yeah. Again, the same thing we talked about with Tatum, I think is just kind of with the team applies to Tatum is everything. He's just got to process things a little bit quicker. There's not enough time for Jayson to play Jason's style of ball. It just doesn't fit. Especially if he's going to be getting all this added attention. He can't wait for the defense to set, for people to know where he's going, have everybody else standing around wondering what you're going to do. You got to help other people help you a little bit. And when you stop the ball the way he does and kind of slow things down, that's always going to be harder because everyone's all eyes are on you, and everyone else, your teammates are standing around like, what am I supposed to do? Just wait in case you kick it to me? There's really not much you can get going there. So I think it's a little bit of an approach thing. Again, I think he has to get stronger. Again, I think he's got to work on his left. He's got to work on his handle too. There's areas of his game that can develop too. But a lot of it is approach based, I think.
Back
Yeah,
down.
that's my
Sherrod?
dog. Yeah, I mean, I mean, Tatum it's clear that what's holding him back has nothing to do with skills. It has nothing to do with growing into his body because he's physically stronger, so he can withstand a lot more punishment than he could 2, 3, 4 years ago. It's a mental game right now. That's the part of his game that really has to make, I think, quantum leaps going forward because your best player should not be MIA in the fourth quarter as much as he is. Your best player can't just allow a non-call to debilitate him the way Tatum does. I mean, how many times have we seen Tatum not get a call, and the next thing you know, the other team has a 4-on-3 break, and the guy that finishes is the guy that Tatum should have been guarding. He's got to be better than that. He's got to be mentally tougher than what we've seen so far. And I think he will be. I think he's going to take this harder than anyone on the team, and he should.
Will he for sure?
I think he will. But here's the thing, John. Here's the
Or
thing
is he
about
going to
him, though,
sit
that's
back and say, I didn't
Tatum?
play great here, but I'm still first team All-NBA, so this season was a success?
I think he'll take it hard, but
I think he's gonna take it hard because he's running out of excuses for why things don't work out. And at some point, you got to look at the mirror and just say, shit, this is on me. I got to be better. I got to be better. What can I do to be better? Play.
People are saying in the press conference right now,
I feel like he
to
takes
this point,
everything hard.
Sherrod, real quick, just I'm getting texts on this. Just to your point, Sherrod, people are saying this is as kind of beat up and emotional as people have seen Tatum in a press conference, and it does look like he's taking this particularly hard. So
it's not a surprise that he's taking it hard, and I want him to. I think if you're a Celtics fan,
I was
want
going
to
to say
see
good,
him in pain.
but I thought
You want to see him.
Well, that's
Yeah,
kind of what I said, right? I want it to be a dark
Because,
summer.
well, I mean, here's the thing. Tatum is, and again, This is not an excuse for why he sucks, but it's the reality that he's still learning how to become a leader. He's learning how to become a great player, and part of that learning process is to screw things up. Part of that learning process is to not be great. And Tatum, he should be taking this hard. He should be pissed at himself for not playing better. But to me, that's just stage one. Next stage, what the hell are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to be better? And that's where Tatum's at right now because he's beyond the point where he's got to get better at this part of the game. That it's mental now. He has to become a stronger player mentally, and Brad's got to get him a little more talent, particularly on the perimeter. Someone who can actually knock down a shot besides himself.